The silence between you and a narcissist is never truly empty. It is heavy, suffocating, and remarkably loud. It is not just the absence of text messages or phone calls. It is a living entity that occupies the space they left behind. This silence has a pulse. It is the first thing you feel when you wake up, sitting like a weight on your chest before your eyes even open. And it is the last thing you hear at night when the world goes quiet. You find yourself trapped in a mental loop, wondering who is actually suffering more in this stillness. You are drowning in a sea of questions about why and how it ended, while they sit on the other side of that wall of silence, seemingly untouched. But what you need to realize is that this is not just a breakup. It is a psychological standoff. This stillness is actually the most honest moment you have ever had with them. It reveals the truth of the power dynamic that was hidden behind the chaos. If you can pull back the curtain and see what is actually happening within this quiet, you will never look at them or your own heart the same way again. Right now, your body is in open rebellion against you. You might think that being away from someone who hurt you would feel like a breath of fresh air, but in the beginning, it feels like you are suffocating. That is because this is not freedom yet, it is withdrawal. You have to understand that your relationship was not built on a foundation of peace. It was built on a high-stakes cycle of unpredictability. One day you were the center of their world, and the next you were invisible. This hot and cold treatment did something terrifying to your brain. It conditioned you to become addicted to the moments of warmth. Your nervous system was essentially rewired to stop seeking safety and start seeking the fix of their validation. You were not in a partnership. You were in a chemical loop of hope, rejection, and punishment. Because of this conditioning, your body does not recognize peace as a good thing. To a traumatized nervous system, peace feels like a threat. Now that the contact has stopped, your brain is not saying that you are finally safe. Instead, it is screaming, demanding to know where the drug went. This is why you find yourself compulsively checking your phone, rereading old messages, or staring at their social media. Your brain is literally hunting for the chemical hit it grew dependent on. You feel a physical ache in your chest, a restlessness in your limbs, and a constant low-grade panic. You might mistake this intense physical pain for true love or a soulmate connection, but you have to be direct with yourself. This is not proof that they are your person. It is proof that you have been trauma bonded. Think of this silence as a clinical detox. When an addict stops taking a substance, their body goes through hell. They shake, they sweat, they lose sleep, and they feel like they are dying. This does not happen because the drug was good for them, but because their system does not know how to function without the poison yet. That is exactly where you are. You are in the ugly phase of emotional sobriety. Every time you resist the urge to reach out, every time you put the phone down, and every time you breathe through the panic, you are flushing that toxicity out of your system. It feels like you are breaking, but you are actually becoming whole again. The pain is real, but it is not a signal to go back. It is a signal that the healing has finally begun. You have to endure the storm of the withdrawal to finally reach the shore of your own life. While you are sitting in the quiet, picking up the pieces of your broken heart, you have to understand that the narcissist is living in a completely different reality. It is tempting to imagine them sitting in their own room feeling the same weight of the silence that you feel. You want to believe they are reflecting on their mistakes, feeling a pang of regret when they see your empty chair, or struggling with the loss of the connection you shared. But you must be direct with yourself. Their silence is not fueled by heartbreak. It is not a period of mourning for a narcissist. Silence is a strategic tool, a weapon used for ego protection and image management. They are not looking inward to heal. They are looking outward to see who is still watching. Their entire internal world is built on the need for supply, which is just a fancy way of saying they need to be the sun that your entire world revolves around. To them, your emotions, whether they were love, tears, or even your justified anger, were all just fuel for their ego. As long as you were reacting to them, you were confirming that they were powerful. The moment you go truly silent, you are not just stopping a conversation, you are breaking the script they wrote for you. In the beginning of this silence, the narcissist is not worried. In fact, they are often quite arrogant about it. They tell themselves a story where you are just being dramatic or emotional. They assume you are sitting at home staring at your phone, waiting for them to throw you a crumb of attention. They might even enjoy the silence at first because they imagine you suffering over them, which in their twisted logic is still a form of tribute to their importance. They expect the cycle to continue exactly as it always has. They push, you pull, they ignore, you chase. They are waiting for that inevitable moment when you break and send that long explanatory text or make that late night phone call. To them, your struggle is proof that they still own a piece of your soul, and that sense of ownership keeps their fragile ego inflated. But something shifts when the days turn into weeks and you still have not reached out. This is when the narcissist hits a wall that is far more terrifying to them than hatred. This is the wall of irrelevance. You have to realize that a narcissist can handle being hated. They can even thrive on it because being a villain in your story still makes them a main character. What they cannot handle is being nothing. When you stop checking their social media, stop asking mutual friends about them, and stop responding to their subtle provocations, you are essentially holding up a mirror that shows them their own emptiness. If you are not there to reflect their greatness or react to their cruelty, they are forced to sit alone with a self they find unbearable. Irrelevance is a psychological death sentence for someone who exists only through the attention of others. This is why their behavior often becomes erratic or performative as the silence stretches on. They are not moving on in the healthy sense. They are scrambling to find a replacement for the hole you left. Their silence becomes a desperate act of image management. They might post exaggerated photos of their amazing new life or jump into a new relationship with breathtaking speed. It is not because they are happy. It is because they are trying to prove to themselves and to you that they are still the one in control. They are trying to provoke a reaction from you to prove they still matter. If they cannot get your love, they will settle for your jealousy. If they cannot get your attention, they will try to get your spite. But if you give them nothing, the silence forces them to face the one thing they have spent their entire lives running from. That fact is that without someone to manipulate, they do not actually know who they are. Your silence is the ultimate boundary, and it is the only thing that truly strips them of their power. You need to understand one thing very clearly. There is a massive difference between someone who has found peace and someone who is putting on a show. When your silence finally starts to settle in and the narcissist realizes you are not coming back to play your role, their ego takes a massive hit. This is when they shift gears from silence into performance mode. Suddenly, their life looks like a high-budget movie production of happiness. They are not actually healing or reflecting. They are performing for an audience of one, which is you. They start curating a version of reality that is specifically designed to make you feel like you were the problem and that they are thriving without you. You might see them posting more than ever, flashing smiles that do not reach their eyes, or surrounding themselves with new people to show how replaceable you are. But do not let the bright lights fool you. This is not a sign of growth. It is a desperate act of psychological self-defense. One of the most common moves in this performance is the smear campaign, where they begin to rewrite the history of your entire relationship. Because they cannot handle the shame of being the one who was left or ignored, they have to cast you as the villain. They will tell mutual friends, family, or anyone who will listen that you were the unstable one, the toxic one, or the one who just could not get it together. They do this to protect their public image and to ensure that if you ever do speak up, your voice has already been discredited. It is a preemptive strike. By making you look like the person who acted out, they get to play the role of the long-suffering victim who is finally finding freedom. This narrative is not for them to find closure. It is a shield they use to block out the reality of their own behavior. If they can convince the world you were the problem, they never have to face the fact that they were the cause. Then comes the new supply. To someone looking in from the outside, it might look like they moved on in record time. It can feel like a punch to the gut to see them with someone else just days or weeks after things ended. You start questioning if the years you spent together meant anything at all. But here's the direct truth. A narcissist does not move on. They simply replace. This new person is not a partner. They are a prop in the narcissist's ongoing play. They need someone new immediately to validate their worth because they cannot stand to be alone with their own thoughts. This new relationship is not a sign of love. It is a distraction from the void. They are using this person to send a message to you that says, look how easy it was to forget you. But genuine happiness does not have a point to prove. People who are actually at peace do not feel the need to broadcast it to the world or use others to make an ex jealous. The louder the performance, the more it proves that your silence is working. If they were truly over it and at peace, they would not be working so hard to show you. Your continued silence is the evidence that their act is not reaching its intended target. You are effectively dismantling their reality by refusing to participate in the game any longer. As you continue to hold this boundary, you are not just hurting them, you are finally setting yourself free from the chemical dependency they installed. Every day that passes without a response is a victory for your mental health and a step further away from the cycle of abuse. You are reclaiming the energy that was once poured into them and redirecting it toward the only person who actually matters in this scenario, which is you. While they are busy performing and searching for new ways to gain validation, you are doing the difficult, quiet work of healing. That work may be painful, but it is the only way to ensure you never have to return to that cycle. The silence you are currently enduring is not a sign of defeat, but a testament to your growing strength and your commitment to your own well-being. By staying the course, you are ensuring that the door to your past remains firmly closed, allowing you the space to eventually build a future that is defined by authentic peace rather than the constant, exhausting, and shallow noise of a narcissist. You are gaining the upper hand simply by choosing not to play, and in time you will find that the void they left behind is being filled with your own sense of self. Continue to trust in the process of your recovery, knowing that your silence is the most powerful tool you have in breaking free for good. Indifference is quiet, peace is subtle. It does not need a soundtrack, a hashtag, or a public announcement. When you see them acting out, trying to provoke you, or flaunting their new life, what you are actually seeing is a person in a state of high alert panic. They can metabolize your anger. They know how to handle it when you yell, cry, or beg, because that still means they are the center of your universe, but they have no defense against your indifference. Indifference is the ultimate ego killer. By refusing to watch the performance, you are effectively turning off the lights in the theater. Without your attention to feed the act, the performance falls apart, leaving them alone with the one thing they fear most, which is their own true self. Every single day that you maintain the silence, something quiet and miraculous is happening deep inside your physical body. You are not just moving on, you are literally recalibrating your entire nervous system. For so long, your body was tuned to the frequency of chaos. You were living in a state of high alert with your brain constantly scanning for the next mood shift, the next criticism, or the next disappearance. When you finally step away and stay away, the absence of that chaos feels strange. It might even feel wrong. In the beginning, true calm can feel incredibly boring, or worse, it can feel terrifying. You have been so conditioned to expect an emotional explosion that when the air is finally still, you find yourself bracing for a hit that never comes. This is because your body has forgotten how to exist in peace. But if you stay in that stillness, the static begins to clear. The heavy, suffocating fog that has clouded your judgment for months or years begins to lift. And for the first time in a long time, you can see the horizon. As this recalibration takes hold, you will start to notice small, profound shifts in how you move through the world. You will find yourself making a simple decision, like what to eat for dinner, what shirt to wear, or what movie to watch, and you will suddenly realize that you did not pause to wonder how they would react to it. You did not have to pre-calculate their judgment or try to avoid their disapproval. That tiny moment of autonomy is a massive victory. It is a sign that the central command of your life is returning to its rightful owner, which is you. One day you will find yourself laughing at a joke or a video, and the sound of your own voice will surprise you. you will realize that this laugh is genuine. It is not a nervous laugh to ease the tension, and it is not a performative laugh to make things seem okay. It is a laugh that belongs entirely to you. You are reclaiming the territory of your own joy inch by painful inch. And it happens because the silence has finally silenced their criticism. It is vital that you understand that the person you became during that relationship was not the real you. The version of you that was constantly anxious, the version that spent hours over explaining your feelings, the version that walked on eggshells and became a master at people-pleasing, that was a survival adaptation. You were a soldier in a war zone, and those traits were your armor and your camouflage. You became hypervigilant because you had to be. You became small because it was the only way to stay safe in their presence. But now that you are out of the line of fire, you do not need that armor anymore. You might feel like you have lost yourself, but the truth is much more hopeful. The real you never actually left. That version of you, the one who is curious, deep, empathetic, and strong, was simply drowned out by the deafening noise of the narcissist's needs and dramas. They were just waiting for the world to get quiet enough so they could finally be heard again. In this sacred silence, your own inner voice finally has the space it needs to speak. For a long time, that voice was a whisper buried under layers of their gaslighting and your own self-doubt. But as the silence continues, that voice gets louder and clearer. You start to trust your own intuition again. You start to remember what you actually like, what you actually value, and what you actually deserve. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to the person you were before the world told you that you had to be someone else just to be loved. This return of the self is the most powerful part of the entire healing journey. It is the moment you realize that the narcissist did not break you. They just occupied you for a while. Now that the occupation is over, you are free to rebuild your life on your own terms. And this time, the foundation is made of your own truth rather than their lies. You have to be prepared for the moment the silence is broken because it rarely stays quiet forever. If they come back, and let us be honest, they almost always try, it will not look like the monster you remember. They are not going to show up with a pitchfork. They are going to show up with a key to your heart. They have spent months, perhaps years, studying your vulnerabilities, and they know exactly which strings to pull. They will show up with the exact words your soul has been starving to hear in the desert of their absence. They might seem incredibly soft, uncharacteristically regretful, or even break down in tears of vulnerability. They will reference old memories, inside jokes, and the dreams you used to share, making you feel like the connection was too special to let die. It is the ultimate test of your recovery, and it is the moment you must be the most direct with yourself. You have to understand that hearing the right words is not the same thing as seeing a changed person. Sincerity in the moment is not the same thing as a total transformation of character. When a narcissist reappears, you have to look past the performance and ask yourself why they are really there. Most of the time, they are not returning because they finally realized your worth or because they did a deep dive into their own soul. They are returning to check the locks. They want to see if the door you slammed is still bolted or if they can still wiggle the handle and get inside. Their return is a hoover, which is a psychological vacuum designed to suck you back into the cycle of supply. They need to know if they still have emotional reach over you. They want to see if they can still make you cry, make you explain yourself, or make you drop everything to comfort them. If they can get a reaction out of you, they win. To them, your response, even if it is an angry one, is proof that they still own a piece of your mind. They are not looking for a healthy relationship. They are looking for reassurance that their power over you has not expired. Do not let a change in their tone confuse you for a change in their psyche. A softer voice is just a different tool in the same toolbox. It is incredibly easy to fake softness for a week or a month to get back into someone's good graces. But it is nearly impossible to fake sustained, deep accountability. Real change is a grueling, long-term process that requires a person to admit they were the villain in someone else's story, and that is something a narcissist's ego is specifically designed to avoid. If they are not coming to you with a clear, consistent history of professional help, a radical shift in their behavior, and an absolute respect for your boundaries, then they are just repackaging the same poison in a prettier bottle. Without structural internal change, the honeymoon phase of their return will be shorter than ever, and the crash back into chaos will be even more violent because they will resent you for making them work to get you back. This is where you have to be your own protector. You have to realize that you are not being mean or cold by refusing to engage. You are being accurate. You are looking at the data of the past instead of the fantasy of the future. Every time you have let them back in before, it led to the same wound, just with a different bandage. You have to stop listening to what they say and start watching what they do, and more importantly, remember what they did. If you open that door based on a few sweet sentences, you are not resuming a love story. You are restarting a countdown to the next explosion. Breaking the cycle for good means realizing that the closure you have been looking for is not something they can give you. It is something you give yourself by deciding that the cycle ends here. You have to choose your peace over their potential every single time. All roads led back to the same pain before. And unless the person walking the road has fundamentally changed who they are, the destination will never change. Your life is too valuable to spend it waiting for a miracle that is not coming.